And we are recording the review. Yay! Anyway,
Holy fucking shit!
okay. Man, to interlude from Meta there. Anyway, so this is our first recording where we had 4 people. Normally we only have 3, maybe 2 people. But this is also the first A, that we have Meta back in, and B, this is after the Dread situation where we have Dread back. So anyways, guys, what'd you think about the map real quick? Just before we get the review started. Meta, what'd you think first?
You know, it didn't help that my game was crashing all throughout that map. It kind of would have helped if Left 4 Dead 2 wasn't being stupid.
True.
I'm verifying the cache right now, making sure that doesn't happen again. So, in the meantime, what I thought about the map, I definitely like this western feel to it, and I was kind of afraid at first because we started going through a really dark tunnel, and I'm not a big fan of tunnel vision because pretty much your eyes just mainly focus on any source of light that's there, if only just to be able to see what's in front of you.
True.
And so the only source of light is your flashlight. So it's like your eyes are tunneled on that, and it kind of gives me a headache sometimes. But no, there's actually a lot of dark and quite a lot of light segments as well. It's kind of balanced between the two.
That is true.
And overall, I think the map it's pretty nice. It had a lot of interesting ideas, and I think they're implemented well enough. And, well, it's okay, in my books.
Okay. Kyo, do you have anything to add to that?
The map did kind of... The map is map.
Best way to explain what the map was. A map.
It kind of seemed like it went with the military kind of feel, but when it went with music, it was like, I want to be a Western now.
That is true. Dread, do you have anything to add on to that?
Not really.
Yeah,
it was decent. Had the Western feel.
Yeah, there's not... Even I can't really add on anything to that, because, well, Meta explained most of it, and Kyo kind of finished it off there. It felt like it was a Western feel. It was pretty decent. Tunnel vision sucks, but it was only a short, limited of time. Overall, it was a pretty decent map. Little generic, though. Just outside of the music, felt a little generic, too.
To be fair, that was like only the first map that had the tunnel vision thing. Aside from not every other map.
Well, like I said, it was just a small bit. It was a small bit of it, but there was also some generic feel to this, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Could be, it didn't feel like it was fully original. The music was nice. The custom voice acting, that was nice too. The map was quite original in terms of where it was set, but they didn't. It felt so generic to where I felt like I knew where I was going. Like, I could not stop. Most of that map I was leading anyway. So yeah, that's why I felt kind of that generic feel to it. So, anyway, let's get on to the review. Qualifications, basically. 5 stars max, 1 star minimum. Number of infected, was it underwhelming, overwhelming? The right amount? Meta, we'll start off with you.
I actually ran for... It, once again, doesn't help game crashes, so I can't really say how much infected there was, but from what I played, I was able to just get through the infected just fine. I think that's just due to the fact that I'm much more experienced and I've had a bit of a long rest from Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah.
So I pretty much just streamed through those zombies like no problem. There was like a few occasions where where one of us would get bloodied, for lack of a better term, and but there was always a health kit, so
yeah. All right.
I would say the zombies weren't that difficult, but I think that's just because it was on normal.
Yeah. Well, we always play normal. You have to be fair here.
Yeah.
So, you want to give it a star, half star, what?
I'm thinking about giving it... I'm going to give it a star because there's just enough zombies to make it feel like it was sort of challenging. But there wasn't enough to... It wasn't, like, overwhelming.
Alright. Keo, what'd you think?
Well, it had the zombies, alright. Didn't think it did too much against us. Especially since melees.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of destroy that. I'll give it a star, I suppose.
Alright. Dread?
That was okay. So I'll give it a star. Could have used... Going with Keo that it could have used a few more melees, but... Nah.
Alright, I'm going to give it a star as well. It didn't feel like it was overwhelming with the infected. Finale had a lot of few surprises, and since it's all the infected is in general, which includes all the specials, seeing a third tank come out of nowhere, that was awesome. I'll give you that. But it still wasn't like a whole big factor where we couldn't die. We could pretty much survive. If we needed the health, we had it. If we needed the ammo, it was there for us when we needed it. It wasn't like it was overpowering with the infected where there was no medical supplies to the point you were there. So yeah, it's a full star. So with that said, length of campaign. This was 45 minutes. Given for meta, it was probably about 30 because of how many times he disconnected and got back in. What'd you think about that minute?
I think the time is just about right. How many maps were
5
in
part.
between? 5 parts?
It was a 5-part
Really?
map. Yep.
Wow, all those felt kind of short. I mean, jeez. Yeah, that's pretty much how I describe it then. It's kind of short.
Well, a 5-part map we generated around 45 minutes to an hour anyway. That's the average we've seen.
Well, then I'd say it's just about right then. 45 minutes.
Well, yeah. But see, I can also agree with you that it did feel short. Because it's right at that borderline of 45.
That borderline. So I think for that, I think I will give it half a star. Because it does feel like there could be... I guess it does feel like there could be more to this.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
That we're not really seeing.
True.
But I guess, yeah. That's all
That's
I
funny.
can
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Gio?
Yep. It had a length. It was on the shorter end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I give it a 3/4.
Alright, Dread?
It was short, but then I think of that. Then I start thinking again that it's beta, so the guy could make it longer.
True.
True,
So
it is a beta.
So I guess I'll give it half. I'll give it a full star because it could be extended.
Alright. I'm gonna give it half. And there's a few reasons why. One is where... And this is mainly... it's a bug in this game. We were stuck at that place where we had a download thing, and we didn't know where to go. That was mainly because of that bug, and I give it... This is a beta, but we were there for about 5 minutes. So if you take that away, after we did that stuff, it chalks down to be about 40 minutes long. So it's really underneath the average. That and some of the maps really felt short. Like part 4, even though that had a download thing, it felt really short to me. Like we found the safe room with no problems. It didn't feel like we had any artificial length at all, in which, given it's a beta, but it could have improved by having that. Like it could have had a gate to prevent us, that had to point us one way to make sure we do that, get the download first, and then open the gate. Like we had to press another button to open a gate right around that area, you know. Either that or just have like a tank be spawned there no matter what, kind of like basically a scripted tank. Because that's a good place to have a tank, just because you have the cliffs and shit. Other than that, the map was okay in terms of length. It could have been improved though, so that's why I'm giving it half. Anyway, we're gonna move on to difficulty fitting. This is based on normal difficulty. So, Meadow, what do you think?
Huh. We kind of breezed through it. I'm gonna say that right now.
Yeah.
There was never a time where we had to restart, which I guess is a good thing. Considering normal difficulty once again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like there could have been some challenge added into it, and I feel like while the tanks might have been there to do that, we didn't actually feel like we had to. I didn't feel like it was that urgent, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I didn't feel like that we had to really get this done, or else we were going to fucking die, pretty much. So
yeah,
those are my thoughts on it, and I'd probably give it half a star.
All right. Keo?
Yeah, it was easier than it should have been.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, although there wasn't as many. They had a lot of ideal spots for tanks, I thought, but didn't use it.
Yeah.
Because they really needed to.
Well, I point back to the cliff area because that would have been a perfect place to have a tank scripted. It would have made it more challenging to beat it.
I'll give it a quarter star.
Dread?
Yeah, it was a little easy. So I guess I'll give it half a star because we really did blow through it. Even when the small horde showed up, they didn't really stop us.
Alright. I'm going to give it a quarter. It's pointing back to all you guys. It just felt easy. We breezed through everything. There's a lot of places they could have put a tank. And then you have the finale where you did have that surprise tank when we already were fighting one. I don't know if that was just a scripted one. I don't know if that was just a random spawn one. But to have two tanks being on there, I understand this is normal. We can take care of it. But if there was a scripted tank and it was just because when we open that door it spawns, it's kind of a dick move because no one would know that. And really, that it's not a bad place to put it because they put it in small corridors, but there would have been a couple better places I would have seen a tank at. Like where I pointed back to the length area is where we were stuck at getting a download. That would have been a perfect place. We heard a tank, but it never spawned. And we were right next to those cliffs. It should have like really been right up when we came up to those cliffs and right next to them and just punch us off, or even have like 3 or 4 chargers. Make it somewhat challenging, like it would spawn almost 3 chargers back to back to back in a way. Kind of force us to have more of a difficulty because we were going right through all that stuff. There didn't seem like a part of us that could get stopped. So yeah, it really needs to up its difficulty a bit here. Other than that, the finale was fine. Didn't like it. It didn't overpower us. But that's probably where you want to start off if you're going to be normal. You have to do that through the whole entire campaign. We didn't feel that for like at least 3 of the maps. At least I didn't. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Moving on to overall design. Meta, what do you think about the design from what you got to see?
I thought it was very appropriate, actually. Although it was kind of, it was conflicting, really. Because, once again, it seems more like a military setup, but Western music was added in. So, think that kind of conflicted a little, but I think it blended in pretty well together. So you know what? I'll give that a full star.
All right. Keo?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, but I kind of didn't see it fitting that well in my opinion.
Okay.
So I'll give it half.
Dread?
I kind of liked it. It was bright when it needed to be. It had a pretty good design. It had the military feel. But I guess I kind of agree with Meta that the Western music kind of threw it off. So I guess I'll give it half a star.
I'm gonna give it a quarter, and that's mainly because of that music. It was off-putting to a military setting. That, and in terms of what they were trying to do, because they were trying to make a plot to it, it didn't feel like it should be a part of it. It seemed like they had like three conflicting things happening. You had in a military base area, somewhere in Arizona, it looked like, or Texas, in the desert. And you have it set in a Western feel, but then you have this storyline that sounds like Dawn of the Dead or something like that. It sounded like you need to get to this place because it's supposed to be a safe area, or it's like Resident Evil, this is where you can find the cure. It just, like, you had three different things going on at once, and to me that kind of off-puts it. When you're trying to go with one goal, you're putting a different set of music into it that doesn't fit, and then you're putting a plot that doesn't even fit that. So, to me, I can see it working if they maybe change the music and combine it, because I know that you can have a military base and say there's a cure in the military base, and they just haven't released it yet. I can see that, but just to have it the way they did, it really was off-putting. So yeah, I give it a quarter because of that. It just, in terms of the map, what it looked like, it was nice. But again, that's part of its originality, where it was coming from. The music was original, but it was off-putting. The plot was original, again, off-putting. So yeah, it had an original feel, but it also had that generic feel to it. I didn't like that. I'm not saying it's bad, but again, you're putting three different themes into one map. That the name of it's called, what was it? Undead Zone?
Yeah, Undead Zone.
Yeah, and that even doesn't sound like a Western name. So, yeah, it's just way too many things conflicting what you're trying to do. It seemed like they put like 4 different themes and it didn't work. So, anyways, yeah. This makes us go on to the recommendations. Meta, would you recommend it?
Well, once again, I have to say this. This is just a beta, so and I do see a lot of interesting ideas in here, but I don't think they're quite, like you guys say, they're not quite implemented as well.
Yeah.
Even if I think some of them probably are.
Well, you can think of them that way, but if you think about it hard enough, you could try to figure out, okay, this could work. But I mean, would you play it if you were playing it as it is right now? Would you play it again? Would you recommend it to people?
I probably would recommend it for one playthrough. That's pretty much about it.
So I'm taking it you're going to give it about half a star then?
Yep, that sounds about right.
Alright. Kyo?
This map, something didn't sit right with it with me. I'm not sure what it was. And I can't give it any stars for that.
Alright, so
Something just seemed off to me about it.
So you just wouldn't recommend it flat out?
Yeah.
Alright, Dread?
Kind of going with kind of what Meta said, that it's okay, maybe recommended to play once, but I'd actually recommend it a little more when the final version comes out, so I'll give it like 3/4.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give it a 0 as well. It just this map was kind of all over the place to me. It's not that I didn't enjoy playing what we did. It was kind of fun. It did have a little bit of a fun factor. But the thing was that every time you go to a different area, you're in a different place. Like the start of it, we were in tunnels all the way through it, pretty much. And the second part, we're in a city.
Well,
The third part, we're in a military base. The fourth part, we're in this. I understand that's part of what you're supposed to do in a map, but at the same time, you're putting up different themes each time we were going to it.
well, I kind of saw how they connected some of those.
Well, yeah, I understand that. I'm not saying that that's the problem. I'm saying that you had a Western theme, so you put a modern city that you would see in everyday life right now in a Western theme of song, and it doesn't work so well, in my opinion. I mean, you can do that. I've seen movies do that, but you're putting a city in the middle of a desert that's in modern. Normally, if you're in a desert, it's usually a ghost town. Going back to the map that we did play, Gunslinger, I think it was called, where it was supposed to be based on a Stephen King book. That's a good example of what town it should be in. If you're going to have a city...
Yeah, it was called Gunslinger.
Yeah, that's a good example of if you're going to have a Western feel to it, that's a good way of going about it. If you're going to put a modern city into it, I don't want to hear Western music. I know it can work. I'm just saying I'd rather hear a little bit more of a modern beat to it. So that was off-putting, and then all of a sudden you're still having that Western feel, then you're going to a military base. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. A military base can use a Western theme as well. It's just it didn't look like it's part of the West. The only thing that the Western theme ever fit for the music was where you're at in the desert. That's the only part I can see ever fitting. It's kind of the reason why I can't recommend it. It's one of those themes that is all over the place. You could play it once, and it just happened. So you don't want to play it again.
It just happened.
Yeah, it's all that happened. Okay, so you're done. Do you want to play it again? Not really. It's just... it's off-putting. It doesn't stay true to what it's trying to accomplish. Undead Zone, the name doesn't really seem like a good name for this map in a lot of ways. Because the plot really isn't a zone of undead people. It's just doesn't feel right. The name puts it off. The music throws it off. Although it's nice. I'm not saying the music was bad. The setting, though, can fit each other, was off-putting as well. Just, it's like trying to put it in Area 51 and just putting it in the times of cowboys and Indians. It doesn't work. So, yeah. With all this added up, let me add this stuff up. Meta has given it 3.5 stars out of 5. Kyo, you gave it 2.5. Dread, you gave it 3 3/4. And I gave it 2. So this can vary between a 2 to 4 out of 5-star map.
I think the middle ground would be 3.
Yeah, we're gonna go to middle ground and say this is about a 3-star map. It's average, but it's not very recommendable. Two of us just said it's not very recommendable. Meta himself said it's maybe once, a playthrough of once. Dread's waiting for that final. But if, as now, it's just not there. We will replay this again when it gets out of beta. We do that for every other map when we can. We'll see how it works. If we like it, we change our scores. It's nothing like the There's Only One Way map, because that one, it actually, when they re-brought it out, we thought it was worse than it was before, which was weird, considering that it did add an extra thing that we did like. It was just that way. So it could vary. Even when we say a 5-star map be in beta, can change anytime. So we will play it. We will give you our honest opinions like we did here, and hopefully we'll have all 4 of us in future recordings like this. This was kind of, we had everybody at the right time. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I hope you enjoyed the review, and please continue to watch our videos, comment, go to Lord Cat forums and post there if you have a request. And yeah, we'll see you all later.
Catch you later!